It's been quite a few days since I've made my last video. Sorry if you can hear my bird. She's on the other side of my setup. Oh, it's been a few days. And yesterday, my stomach decided to hate me. The day before that, my teeth were hating me. The day before that, my teeth were still hating me. The day before that, my teeth were still hating me. It's been an ongoing battle to the point that I have been taking dual action pain relief pill things over the counter. They're dual action Advils. Um, Daily, like a couple days ago, it was around the clock just for the tooth pain. Y'all remember that short that I made where I was like, I can't even eat a French fry without part of my tooth breaking off? Yeah, half of one of my teeth is gone over here. I can't even eat on that side. At this point, I have to eat on my right side, which is the side that I couldn't eat on before. It's a doozy. Okay, it's a doozy. We don't need to talk about it. Okay, it's tough, and a bitch can hardly eat. Past couple days, I've had like small bites here and there of like macaroni and cheese, just really soft foods. Things that I didn't really have to chew very much because of the pain. Like I can't stand to put pressure at all on like this on this side, like right up under here, is very tender if I were to press on it. Kind of where your cheekbone is at. And then like to like do the biting motion on this side, it's bad. It's bad. Um, so I've been dealing with that and been dealing with tummy upsets, and I don't know why my tummy, well, yes, I do. I know a couple potential causes. Um, but I wanted to make this video because I've been meaning to make this video, and I was going to just grab a shower and then make this video, and I was like, no, like I've been trying to make this. I could take the shower after. I've been trying to make this video for like a week now, and haven't really been able to. So we're going to talk about it because there's been something of a resolution, something that looks like closure that's taken place. And I don't want to have to edit this video too much. I just kind of want it to speak for itself and sit on its own. Because I feel like there's a reason in a video like this, there's going to be a lot of vulnerability. And I feel like editing it takes away some of the humanity of the situations and the severity of the experiences that happened. And this is a topic that's already hard to talk about. And so I realistically, I don't have it in me to turn around and after I make this, watch it again and edit it. Other than putting like an intro and an outro on it and calling it a day. Like I don't have the mental fortitude. Like I'm better, but it's still like some of this is still very fresh. And I'm done with the situation now, and this is where we are now. And that's okay. And I don't mind. I'm quite happy with the outcome. But once this is up, I'm essentially done reliving it. So I guess without further ado, let's get into it.
Real hands leave marks, real mouths leave knives. You want it bloodless, you want it clean, a body to blame, a machine to bleed. No perfect victim, no perfect victim, only bones and breath, only scars that stick. No perfect victim, no perfect victim. You can name the sin, but you cannot pick.
God, how do I even start this? I don't even know where to begin. This is in my Perfect Victim series, so um I guess the best way to start it is essentially at the beginning while also being respectful of the fact that since there has been closure, I don't want to dig up too much and go into too much detail. And again, like I really don't want to rehash a lot of things. I just kind of want to speak my truth and be done. Um, so as far as that goes, I've known this person. I don't even know if they're still subscribed to me. They were for a minute. Um, and if they are, then it is what it is. And they will see this and they will be like, yeah, this is how it ended. Yep. Um, so I met this person about 10 years ago now. It's 2026 going on 2027. I think it was early 2016. I could be wrong. I think it was like early to mid 2016. Um, uh, and when I met them, they were very warm. They were very kind. Um, they were very inviting. And of course they would be because you don't become friends with someone who is cruel right out of the gate unless you two are cruel right out of the gate and y'all just vibe like that. But I consider myself a genuinely, or not genuinely, but generally decent, nice person. Um, and so I feel like that's kind of what I attract. And at the time, that's very much what she was. She was kind, she was endearing, she was welcoming, um, very caring, very warm. And we had gone through different events, um, and there were faults and mistakes made on both sides. Um, and I was not great to her, and she was not great to me. I think it would be fair to say that we kind of mishandled each other at times. Um, but for the first probably 5 years um, of our friendship, anything that we went through, it didn't need to end in a hard conversation. Like, we didn't really have to have a hard conversation. We had important conversations. One of the things that I specifically remember is, I was 26, 27 at the time. And I had a very big issue with either inserting myself into situations, kind of like by proxy or by association, like, oh, well, they know this person and I also know this person. So, and I would insert myself. I had a problem with that. And I had a problem with not being able to keep my mouth shut, which meant that if we had mutuals and this person came to me, it's the lesson that I had to learn. But if this person came to me and we had mutuals, whatever they said to me, I assumed that was another problem I had with assuming. I assumed that everybody kind of already knew. And so it was a topic that I would talk around, and I would then find out, oh, that person didn't know. Oops. Um, and so they were like, well, how did you find that out? How do you know this information? Why don't I know that information? And it was it was doozies. Um, it was hmm, it was not great. It was not fun for either of us. And to say that I hurt them would be accurate. Um, just just trying to learn and navigate a friendship that I hadn't had before. Um, and she did the same, but differently. Like she hurt me as well, but differently. Her hurt was shutting me out or walking away, um, shutting down the friendship, cutting me off. And I don't mean in conversation, I mean like, I'm done with you. You're dead to me, kind of cutting me off. Um, and in those moments, I couldn't understand what I had done wrong to warrant that. Um, and there were times that, like way back in our past, where, I mean, this is way, 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 way back, early in our friendship days, where there were times that if I was in conversation with somebody that she either didn't vibe with or didn't quite trust, she would have me screen share the conversation in real time back when Skype was a thing. And she would get upset if I said something, because I've tried to maintain a sense of like balance, like, oh well, I can see their side. I can see where, they may feel slighted by you. Um, and I can also see where you feel slighted by them, like looking at the both and that would turn into a disagreement. And they would get upset that I, for lack of a better phrase, just didn't blindly follow them. Um, and it seemed in the moment like the problem was me thinking for myself, um, and not being their yes man. I'm not sure if I feel the same way anymore. So, this person, and if they're watching, they know who they are. Um, I'm not going to be mentioning names. This person was close enough to me. I was close enough to them that we considered each other sisters. And as time went on, we would have these disagreements and we would come back together and we would mend fences and all would be well. Or so we would think. And there were multiple different situations where things were not always as they seemed. Um, as in, like, what she perceived to be true wasn't necessarily factual, or what I perceived to be true wasn't necessarily factual, or I don't know. I um I never tried. I think that's where a lot of the misunderstanding later took place is I never once tried to get even or villainize her or make her seem like she was a horrible person. Never tried to do any of those things. Did she feel that way at some point? Probably. Probably. Um, could it have been caused by some of the things that I said and did? Maybe. Um, was it my intention? No. Um, does that negate the impact? Absolutely not. Um, and I don't know. Early in our friendship, she was more, I would say, calculated. She moved very intentionally. And she was petty. She was very petty. She was, and I became that way later. She was very much moving in the ways that if you did her wrong, she didn't get mad, she got even. Um, okay, like but I was not in the vein of, and I tried a few times to be like, no, that's not the way to do this. Like you shouldn't just, just because they hurt you doesn't mean you have to go hurt them. Doesn't mean they need to feel the same pain you felt. Doesn't mean you have to do them wrong just because they did you wrong. Like I tried to be the voice of reason, and I learned kind of early on that I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make them drink. Um, and it didn't stop me because the amount of care that was there kept me trying to just shake some sense into her. And for whatever reason at the time, I felt like I had the moral high ground, and I didn't. Um, but some of the things that she was doing in my head, I was just like, I could never do that to someone. I could never go out of my way to be that way towards someone. To make it my mission to make their life miserable because they made my life miserable. I could never intentionally go and do this. And so, because a lot of the issues too with me was holding her to the standard of me and being like, I wouldn't do that, so why are you? And not recognizing at the time that we are two completely individual, different people. Um, and we have our own traumas and we have our own stressors and we have our own personalities and we have our own ways of coping. And they don't have to match and they don't have to align. And they can both take up space and be respected. And that was a concept that at 26, 27 hadn't registered in my brain yet. Um, that didn't really register in my brain until honestly I was in my 30s, around like 30, 31, 32. Um, I was getting there, but it was a slow process. Anywho, so like I said, she was more of if you hurt me, I get even. I don't get mad, I get even. And I became very, if you hurt me, justice is about to be served. And it's a dish that is best served cold. And I am Carmen. She has my fucking name. That was the way that I moved at the time. Not necessarily getting even, but like, I'm about to make sure I am there. I'm going to be a fly on the wall when you get your up and comings. I'm not going to orchestrate it, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to see the downfall. Um, and I would watch the train wreck. I'm not proud of it. Something that I did. Um, just stating the fact as it is. So time goes on, misunderstandings take place, we build back friendship, and she goes through some rough times, and she calls on me and a friend of ours, and we're there for her. And in that moment, I think we were probably the only two people left that really gave a shit about her. Um, and I don't want to sit there and say maybe I shouldn't have, but I think a lot of hurt in the future could have been avoided if I had put up boundaries sooner. Because this was a time where I was very much a people pleaser. Um, and to stay friends with people, I had learned just do what they say, act how they want you to act, and if you do, then you know everything will be fine. And as long as you can keep the friendship, then you have worth. You're useful, and they'll keep you around. And so unintentionally, I did become kind of her yes man. Um, Not in every way, but in the ways I think that mattered to her, in the bigger ways. And as time went on, I began to find myself. Um, and I began to understand what real friendship looked like, um, what manipulation looked like, what gaslighting looked like, and I spent a lot of time convincing myself at the time that I was a really good person, that I was a really good person, that I was kind and generous and genuine, and I was not a good person. I was at best a decent person masquerading as a good person and trying to convince myself and everyone around me that I was indeed a good person. And you can only masquerade for so long before the mask falls and it slips and your true self shows. And I won't say that I was a horrible person. Um, I don't think that I was ever inherently horrible or an evil person. I was a person that made a lot of mistakes and mishandled people and grew and learned from my mistakes. Um, but in those times, I was not healing from the damage that I had done to them or myself. And I was not acknowledging the part that I played anytime that the friendship faltered. I was just like, oh, well, I justified it away and hid behind my honesty, my blunt honesty, and was just like, well, if you didn't have anything to hide, you wouldn't be so damn upset with me being honest with this person about what you said and what you did. And I hid behind that when the actual truth of the matter was it was never my story to tell. It was never my job to explain anything in regards to another person to someone else, um, to speak for them, to um, speak about them, to share anything that they hadn't come forward and shared themselves. If they wanted to be cryptic, then that should have been their choice, and I should have left that alone. And I didn't. I didn't in the past, and I at the time could not come to grips with the fact that I was not acting in a way that was healthy for the friendship, for myself, or for her. Um, and I started seeing, this is around the same time that I started watching Gabby. And I started seeing a lot of myself in Gabby and a lot of my friend in Trisha, specifically in the Trisha and Gabby sphere. Um, like in the podcast that Gabby and Trish did together, where Gabby was like, "No, we were friends," and Trish is just like, "I don't remember that. Like, I don't think we were that close, Gabby. Like, really, I don't think we were that close." And that was very much me and this person. And I'm just like, "But we were sisters," and she was just like, "Okay, and okay, well, all right, you know." Um, and so I started resonating with Gabby, and that was not the choice to make at the time. Um, but it nevertheless it showed me. I mean, if that gives you any idea, me and Gabby are, I think, a year or two apart. I think I'm a year or two older than her. And at 26, 27, I was resonating with 25, 26-year-old Gabby, give or take. Sometimes 27, 28. Um, and that really sucked because when the whole series that she made came out with the whole Rice Gum, Escape the Night, the Trisha thing, the Jesse thing, when all that came out, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to much more than the Gabby and Trisha situation because that resonated so loudly for me. Um, and then there was a video that she made um, where she was sitting on her balcony after her and Peyton had put the turf on the balcony. And she was sitting on, I think it was like a couch or a bench or something, and she was smoking weed. And she got into like her childhood, and that part resonated with me. Um, and it was this emotional breakdown that I had um, during that time frame. And the reason I say that that was not the best thing for me to have done, I mean, it happened. I can't take it back. The past is the past, and it's history now. Like it's literally part of my history. But it was not the healthiest or the best decision for me to make to resonate with Gabby, and I really was in such an emotional state. I wasn't thinking clearly, and I didn't know all the details. So I was being led by emotion, and I started feeling kind of like Gabby, like um, when she made her podcast and she was like, "These are narcissistic abusers." And I was just like, "Yeah." And she was like, "They're bullies." And I'm like, "Yeah." And she was like, "They're mean girls." And I was like, "Yeah." And like it cemented an idea in my head that, oh my God, like I am the victim. And while that may be true, I maybe that is true to a certain extent because I had put myself in a situation where I allowed myself to be taken advantage of, be taken for granted, not speak up, not say no, not put my foot down. Like I had allowed that to happen to me and essentially allowed myself to become a victim of circumstances. And while it's true that I could be a victim of the person that I was close to, they can be a victim of me too. And I recognize that. But at the time that I was following Gabby, I didn't. I was, like her, so focused on what everyone else did to me And I refused to look at myself. I justified things away. I excused my behaviors along the lines of, along the veins of integrity and honesty. And you just couldn't handle my brutal honesty, and you just couldn't handle me. And this is who I am, and you just didn't like me, and you just didn't really know me. Like I blamed everyone else for my own downfall. And by the time that the friendship ended, the last time, our friendships ended 5 or 6 times. Um, and usually we would always be able to come back together and make amends and be okay. And I became very much like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Just tell me what to do. Tell me what'll fix it. I'll do it. Um, and the last time that we had a fallout, it was so, like, looking at it now, like in that moment, it was horrible. It was horrible. But looking at it now, I'm just like, that was so stupid. Why did this even take place? And the biggest reason why is because the fallout, for the most part, was over a misunderstanding. Nothing really much more than that. It was a misunderstanding that turned into a toxic back and forth between me and a third party that the friend that I had for years before put herself in the middle of, because she was close to us both, to try to get us both to level out, chill out, stop bickering. And we, neither one of us were having it. We were just like, absolutely not. We need to hash this out. Like, mind your business, back away. Let the cats and dogs fight it out. And we didn't intentionally put her in that position, but we allowed the position to exist, I suppose. I didn't, well, I can't say that. There were times where I was just like, can you please understand where I'm coming from? Like, the what was going on in the background for me better than this person does. Can you please, like, help them understand? Because there was a language barrier. Like, can you please help them understand that, like, I'm not trying to be hateful. This is what happened. And it just, it turned into 3 days of screaming and yelling at each other. And it wasn't healthy. And it wasn't good. And by the end of it, I basically got told, get offline, end the conversation, hang up, get offline. And if you don't, I'm going to unplug your computer because this has gone on long enough. It's stressing you out. And it was. This happened. If you go back on my YouTube and you watch the videos, I think there's a video or a short on my channel about me having a seizure, which was in late July of, I think it was 2023. That was 2 months, I think. No, 3 months. It was 3 months after the fallout. We had a fallout in April. And sometime after that, I ended up having a seizure. Short time after that. I consider that a short time. And the person that I was friends with, sometime after the fallout, ended up with a TBI. Now, I don't know if that is related in any way, if it was a fluke, if it was, a trip and a fall, a vehicle accident. I don't know. I just know that they had a TBI, traumatic brain injury. And I could sat here. I could have sat here all day, every day, and said that the last time that we came together, we should have never gotten so close. I could say that all day long because I anticipated what was going to happen. I could see it happening before it happened. Because when we're that close, we are not oil and water. We are fire and gasoline. We're dangerous in combination. And it's funny, she's dedicated a song called Burning Down to me, which has the lyrics, you knew the house was burning down, I had to get out, which, like, we were fire and gasoline. We were burning each other's houses down, and not with the lemons, for all of you Cave Johnson Portal fans. Um, Although we were bitter. We were bitter. Um, Anywho, so I get offline and we stop talking. And for a good 3 months, I grieved with the loss of that friendship. Um, and I spent days sobbing, crying, um, just sometimes feeling numb, sometimes feeling everything. Um, and I never, I never stopped caring. And, I think that's probably what hurt the most is because I cared. I cared and then I carried it with me. And uh, There were so many times where I thought I was over it and that I was okay. And this is why I didn't put on any makeup. And I thought it was okay, and that I had moved on from it, that I was over it, and that I could speak on it. Turns out sometimes I still can't. um, but I'm in a better place now, and a lot better place than I was a year ago. I wouldn't be able to say any of this. So, um, but that's the part that I carried. I carried her warmth. I carried all of the good moments because I had never forgotten. And when we stopped talking, it hurt so much. I mean, I grieved the friendship like I was grieving a loss in my family. And it hurt so much that I could not bear to speak to her, to see her name, to see her face, to hear her voice, to be in proximity. I could not bear it. And I blocked her to protect myself. Not to benefit her, but to protect me. And I justified that with protecting my peace. Even though I did not have peace at that point, I had unresolved grief, sadness, regret. And I started forgiving her. And whether or not she needed it, I did anyway. I don't know if she felt like she needed forgiveness or like she deserved forgiveness, or I don't know. But I forgave her anyway for any of the shortcomings that she had, or any of the ways that maybe she mishandled me, or how she had spoke to me, or whatever the case was. But at that point, I had not forgiven myself. I hadn't even acknowledged the part that I played yet. I didn't do that until recently. And not because I didn't know that it existed, but because in some way it felt like if I acknowledged it, then I had somehow failed. I had to take that as a failure. And for me, failure was not an option. I stood by the I did everything I could card until I couldn't, because I hadn't done everything I could. And I didn't realize that until recently. So I took time. After I blocked her, I took time. And that's when my healing really began. And I began to resonate more with Jen. And I didn't even know that I was resonating with Jen at the time because I wasn't watching Jen. But I was resonating with her quietly, unknowingly, because I, being as hurt as I was, feeling as betrayed as I did, when me and her fell out, we both kind of did the same thing. She told what friends she had on the side to stay away from me, that I was dangerous, that I hurt people. And I did the same with the friends that I had aside from her. And I asked them, please don't bring her around me. Please don't invite me to where she is. I can't bear it. It hurts too much. And I don't know if she did the same, but I do know that, and the only reason I know is because I heard through the grapevine that she had told people, don't associate with her. She's bad news. She's dangerous. She's toxic. She's this. She's that. And it got to a point where people would ask me, but why? Like, you're asking me to not bring you around her, to not bring her around you, but why? Like, I need a reason. At the time, that seemed okay. Yeah, no, valid. Like, I guess I can't just ask you to not do that and not give you an explanation. And I didn't realize at the time that I really didn't owe anybody an explanation. Um, but I explained it, and I painted the picture of like we were really close, and then we weren't. And here are all the things that, and all the ways that they did me wrong, and here's part of where I did them wrong. Um, and here's how the fallout went. And this is so catastrophic to me that I really just can't be around her. And some people understood and they were like, oh, wow, like I had no idea. Yeah, no problem. Like, I get it. No problem. I won't bring you around her. I won't bring her around you. Some people went so far to be like, I don't want to associate with someone like that. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like, and that's one thing that I think got misconstrued in my direction was I never told people don't be friends with her. I never told people don't associate with her. I told them don't bring her around me. Don't bring me around her. It hurts me too much, and I don't know if it hurts her. And it was somewhat out of respect for her. Like, she is not fond of me. Don't take me around her. One, I don't want to be subjected to the hurt people rhetoric that I know that she is going to shove onto me. Be it snide remarks, like she was hurt. She was going to hurt me. I already knew it. And whether intentional or not, I knew that it was going to happen because like it fucking hurt. Like it was, we both had knives in our backs. Um, and I don't necessarily regret handling it that way and being like, I'm not saying don't associate with her. I'm not saying don't be friends with her. She's actually quite a decent person. She's just not a good friend for me. And that was a thing that I said pretty consistently. And I pretty much still stand by that. Um, but I did ask people, more out of fear of not wanting to face things. I was very much in fight or flight mode, and my coping mechanism at the time was run, stay away, get away far, get away fast, stay the fuck away. Don't come near that person, because I knew emotionally I couldn't handle it. And I knew, see, she didn't know that I'd had the seizures. I knew that I had. I knew that I was still in fear of having another one. Um, I knew that the one that I had come out of the blue. I knew that I was awaiting appointments to potentially be medicated at the time. Um, and I was not willing to take the risk of being stressed to the point of having another one. And she didn't know that. And so there is a potential possibility that she took that as me just running away from my problems, which is partly true, but not the full truth. Um, and I don't know if I ever touched on that with her, really. If I did, then it was probably the last time we ever had an actual conversation after the fallout, which was last year while I was working at my old job. When she reached out to me because I left one avenue of communication open to her. And anyway, like I said, I started resonating with Jen because I started feeling the need to get it out. I felt the need to talk about it. I felt the need to vent, to just get it off my chest because for so many years I had been the quiet yes man. I had been the people pleaser. I had been the one in the background, the one that wasn't ever in the spotlight. And at that time, I felt like I had been hurt the most because of the way that the fallout happened. My voice got silenced. Um, I was accused of things that I had never done. Um, I mean, not to quote Gabby here, but like, I got people blaming me for shit they did to me, and I did. Um, Point the finger, pull the trigger, throw them off your trail. You'll get yours eventually. And they did. Oh, they got theirs. Um, because by the time that they had reached out to me after the fallout, they saw that they started seeing the same things I had seen previously. Um, the era of Glass House was the era of me and this friend. So I, hmm, and then like, what's worse is like I gaslit myself into believing that I was the monster. Like the whole Gabby song. Like I'd gaslit myself and be like, maybe I am the monster. Maybe I'm the bad guy. Um, and while that may have been true in some parts, like maybe I was a villain sometimes in the story, it wasn't all the time. And it was not my job to take accountability for another person. It was not my job to put all of the blame on me when I was not the only person whose hands got dirty, who did wrong by someone, who helped perpetuate what became the fallout. I wasn't the only one involved. So, like, when I say that me resonating with Gabby was a horrible decision, it was. It didn't matter emotionally where I was. The environment that Gabby was in emotionally enabled mine to continue, enabled the fight or flight, enabled the me continuing to talk about it and not let it go. It enabled so many negative traits within me because I saw someone at that time that it felt like had gone through similar situations. And they weren't exact. I didn't know Gabby. um, it wasn't exact. It wasn't necessarily the same, but it was close enough. It was vague enough and ambiguous enough that I was just like, that resonates with me. And now looking back at it and seeing Jen talk about Gabby and everybody sitting there like, why are you still talking about this? Because Jen has never once, and I have lived this. I've lived this. She's never once been acknowledged in a way like this evidence coming forward has acknowledged her. She's never once truly been heard. She's never once been able to sit here and say, I told you, and been able to point at something until now. She's tried. She has tried. And even now, people don't believe her. Even now, people want to hate her. And I've been there. That's why. That's why she's not stopping. That's why she hasn't stopped. That's why she's still talking about Gabby, because she has never had the opportunity for closure, because up until recently, the entire internet dogpiled her because of something that they didn't know the truth about. And now that they do, they're still dogpiling her. That's why she still talks about it. Because she's never once had an opportunity to have closure, because the internet did not give her a chance to. Because the internet in this situation is the catalyst. Yeah, she's gonna be on the internet. Yeah, she's gonna talk about it, because these people have huge platforms. She, in comparison to them, is small. Not in comparison to me, she's huge, but like as far as numbers go. But like, she's a human. She's a human fucking being. And I feel like Gabby has said that. Like, she's a human fucking being. Um, I'm a human fucking being. Like, yes, Gabby, you are. And your humanity vanished at some point. That's why Jen hasn't stopped talking about it. Because this wasn't just internet drama. This affected her real life. And with the friend that I had, people treated me the same way. Why can you not stop talking about this? Why do you still, keep bringing this up? Because it affected me. It traumatized me. It wrecked me. It ruined me for years. It still, to an extent, affects me. And I finally decided, you don't get to affect me anymore. This, our history, the past, none of this gets to affect me anymore. I'm done. I'm done being affected. So recently I finally sat down and I took a long, hard look at myself. And I sat there and I faced the parts of me that I didn't want to before. And I acknowledged specifics of the things that I had done that in some way did my friend wrong, my ex-friend. And so I wrote her something, and I gave her essentially a parting gift. And it was something that I had made that reminded me of her humanity, of who she was when I met her, and what connected us. And that I understand that who she was 10 years ago is not the person that she is today, and neither am I. And that's okay. She doesn't need to be. Neither do I. And we don't ever have to be friends anymore. That's okay too. I have finally learned to be okay with that. I finally learned to accept it, but I had to forgive myself. I had to take accountability for specifics, and even mentioned in the letter that I wrote her, if there's something I'm forgetting, these are specific things that I remember, and I'm sorry for these. And if there's anything I'm forgetting, big or small, I'm sorry for that too. I'm sorry for the role that I played. And I didn't go into it, didn't make it or send it or do any of it for there to be a reconciliation or connection or to get the friendship back or any of that. I did it because the last time that we spoke, it ended in me cutting her off again. The last avenue of communication that she had, I cut that off. And I did not want the last memory that we had of each other to be one of cruelty, emotional shutdown, and toxicity. I didn't want our last fallout and how horrible we were to each other and how horribly we spoke to each other and how maybe cruel I was to cut off communication. I didn't want that to be the last thing that either one of us remembered about each other. That's not where I wanted to leave it because that did not align with who I am now as a person. And if I'm being honest, if I look back at 2016 me, I can honestly look back and say that I don't recognize that person. I know that it was me and I know those actions were mine, but I don't recognize who that person was. That's how much I feel like I have changed. And that's great for me. Um, but Jen hasn't had that opportunity. She hasn't had the chance for closure. Gabby won't give it because Gabby will not take accountability. And I didn't offer the gift to my ex-friend for her to, again, respond or say anything or to reconcile or anything like that. And I didn't do it for, um, I didn't do it for her to have peace or closure. But if it did garner that for her, then good. I hope it did. Um, but that wasn't the main goal. The main goal for me was to let us have peace and a positive ending. Um, and to let her know that I understand. I understand now why the reactions, and that was another one of the things too, was I was like, oh, well, you're the perpetrator. I'm just reacting. You're the antagonist. I'm just reacting to you. But in some instances, the same was probably true the other way around. I was probably an antagonist and she was just reacting to me. And so I wanted us to both kind of be just cleared. Cleared of the charges. We don't have to hurt each other anymore. We don't have to keep warning every other person, don't talk to her, don't talk to them, whatever. We don't have to keep doing that. And that was part of why I did what I did. And I was done being angry at the situation. I was done being sad. I was done running. I was done running, and I needed her to know that I saw what she saw. Finally, I saw what she saw. I saw the person that I was that was not healthy for her, that was not healthy for really many people that I was around at the time. And while she may not have been present for my healing journey, I may not have had it if not for her. Um, but I at least wanted to apologize and be sincere in my apology. And I don't want to speak for her. I don't want to I don't want to be any sort of way. I just want, I just wanted what I got, which was closure and peace. And I wanted to speak about this because while I may have been a victim of her and some of the things she did, she was just as much a victim of me. And while we were both villains in each other's story, it does not take away the fact that we affected each other. And I've said this before in videos, but the perfect victim does not exist. I may have spent months crying and bawling and mourning the loss of a friendship. She may have emotionally shut down. I don't know what her outcome was. I don't know what hurt looked like to her. I don't know if she was tied up in bitterness and anger while I was in remorse and sadness. I don't know. I can't speak for her. But regardless, we were the villain in each other's story, and we were the victim of each other. One does not negate the other. You can be the villain and be the victim. It doesn't negate the other. And I think that's why admitting to myself and admitting to her and taking the accountability that I did, I think that's why for me it felt so freeing, is because I could finally admit, like, no, I wasn't a horrible person, but I also was not a good person. Not the kind of person that I kept telling myself and everybody else that I was. I was not this good person. I was a decent, at best, person, masquerading and convincing people and myself that I was a really good person. And if you're a good person, you don't have to tell people. You don't. You don't have to convince people that you're a good person if you are. And I sat with that for a long time too, because I had to come to grips with that. But I'm a decent person. And I try every single day to be a better person than I was the day before. And every single year, I try to be a better person than I was the year before, and heal a little bit more and grow a little bit more and learn a little bit more. So there's so much more to this story, and this is the surface level for me. But I was ready. I was ready a week ago to get into the nitty gritty and the deep diving of like all these things that I went through. And then this week, while I was sitting in tummy pain, tooth pain, migraines, trying to rest, dealing with some chaos, I found it in myself to not even ask for forgiveness. I didn't even want forgiveness from her. I had to forgive myself. I found it in myself to take accountability, to look myself in the mirror and say, I really messed up and I get it now. So now this video is going a very different way than it would have a week ago. And I'm kind of glad. It doesn't negate the impact that she had on me, nor the impact that I had on her. It doesn't invalidate how either one of us felt. But I'm happy. I'm content. And this would have been a very, very different video last week, a month ago. So, for what it's worth, I am very happy to be where I am now, in the position that I'm in now, with the grace that I have in my heart now, that I'm able to give to myself, that I'm able to give to her. And we're not talking. But when we did, after I gave her the gift and the letter, we spoke very briefly, and it was civil. And that, it was very civil, it was very neutral. And that to me was the best most neutral outcome that I could have asked for, because it could have gone very differently. And I'm glad that it didn't go any differently than it did. I'm really, really glad that it went the way that it did. And I hope in some way that if she needed the closure, if she needed the peace, that she's able to have it too. Um, I didn't do it for that, but if she gets that from it, then good. Wins all around. Love that. Um, but I mean, like, see, Gabby, it's not hard. You can say you're sorry. You just have to name the specific things you did to the specific people you did it to. It's not hard. You can take accountability. And I will say that when you apologize, for anybody out there that's listening, when you apologize, it is not up to you whether or not you deserve someone accepting your apology. They can choose to reject your apology. They can refuse and be like, I don't accept. And you have to accept that. You have to deal with that. They can accept your apology and acknowledge it. They could never acknowledge it. They could disregard it and be like, nope, I don't accept it. You have to be okay with any of those outcomes. And I had to make sure that I was okay with any of those outcomes before I ever sent the gift. And I was. I got lucky, I suppose, because like I said, that outcome could have been very different. So I'm grateful for the way that the outcome did turn out. But that being said, no one owes you acceptance of an apology. No one owes you acknowledgement, and no one owes you forgiveness when you apologize. You shouldn't do it to get something out of it. You should do it because it's the right thing to do. And I finally realized that that was the right thing to do. I finally realized where I screwed up. And I wish them well. And essentially said goodbye in the nicest way I could. So, I don't know. There's a lesson here to learn somewhere. I know there is. I just don't know who needs to hear it and who needs to learn it and what exactly the lesson looks like. I know that there's one here, but it's very difficult to put it into words. But I hope somewhere out there this helps somebody. Maybe helps you get closure, maybe helps you understand better what a villain and a victim look like. Anyway, I may make another video touching on this subject. I may not. Um, I may make another video touching on the Perfect Victim series. I may not. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to, if this will be the only video that I upload of the Perfect Victim series, or if there will be more. But for now, this is me saying my piece, sharing my experience, showing how you can go from resonating with one to resonating with another, how you can grow and how you can learn and how you can change, that it's not impossible. And old dogs, I'm 36, old dogs can learn new tricks, I promise. You just have to be willing and open to learning and growing and healing. So, regardless of what video comes next, there will be more. I know that. I don't know what kind it'll be. But until then, I will see you guys next time. Take care.